Good evening, everyone. Jose J. Garcia, real estate investor, coach, and mentor. So, got another Sunday coaching series. Got the bad deals, pass up on bad investments. So that's definitely a good topic to cover. With so many more investors getting into and trying to decipher, I'm definitely seeing a lot of I have to have it. Not very much of a deal, but somehow there's hopes and dreams that it'll work out. Never does, by the way. But all right, so I'm going to talk about more of the basics from the physical side to the markets. No matter where you invest in, it's always about the market numbers. Market numbers have to make sense. Then comes the product. A lot of people, a lot of investors immediately target more so the investment and then try to focus on the numbers. And that's kind of the way back around. Same would happen to maybe wholesalers or flippers. You get a deal and investment, and then you're trying to find buyers when in reality, you should have buyers and then you should have the investment. So we'll talk about a few of those, cover some topics. We do have some announcements to come towards the end as well. So good evening, Zoom. Good evening, Instagram. And we're going to jump right into it. So we're a few minutes behind, but bad investment. So, no deal is the same. No deal is the same. No investment is the same. That's a given. No rehab is the same. No amount of material. The list goes on. Every deal is a little bit differently. Every deal teaches you a little bit more, something different. But it's always, it's to me, it's always how do you make something better? How do we even, and I'm talking about even bad deals. We have, I like to say we have a perfect track record, but that's far from. I would be lying to you if I did. We've had a lot of mistakes, a lot of time wasted. We've hired wrong contractors, wrong handyman. We've dealt with a lot of issues from the counties, states, rules, regulations. I mean, you name it. But it's always how do we learn from it? Because, we're not going to stop. A bad event does not mean we stop from what we're doing. It means we learn so that the next time around, we know obviously how to resolve that issue a little bit quicker, a little bit better, be more productive, more proactive, and obviously be able to get through it quicker. And it's always learning. You never stop learning. When some of these new investors coming into this mobile home niche, the market, the industry, everybody has something to bring to the table. But it's always, how do you better your product, your service, and overall. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's jump right on into it. So good evening again, Instagram. Any questions you can drop on the chat, and reminder, we'll share this call throughout our social media, YouTube, so you can catch that as well. But all right, so what would determine for me a bad deal? Not so good of a deal, maybe a mobile home investment that I need to stay away from. It is not an investment I need to run away from. So, I would say the physical obvious would be number one. But again, I want to talk about numbers. And even though I'm leaving numbers for second of, numbers are first. If the numbers don't check out, I don't care to hear about the mobile home. It could be a beautiful single wide, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 16 by 80. It doesn't matter. The market numbers don't allow for what I'm trying to do exit strategy wise. And therefore, I'm not going to look into any further. And this goes more for, we're doing a lot of research right now, a lot of new states, because our goal is to be nationwide within the next 5 years. But I'm looking at some of these areas in Arkansas, New Mexico, and it's like, the numbers I'm not as interested yet. Not to say that there's no good deals there, but it's just based on the numbers, is I have to think on my side, exit strategies, rentals, flips, lease options, Airbnbs, Section 8s. Can I do all these in these markets? And most of these markets so far are coming back with not so much. And that being said, again, it's like, well, the fact that all these are checking out up as a no, then I'm not really so intrigued on, even though there's a beautiful mobile home there and it seems like a good deal, the market does not allow for me to be able to get into that. We'll leave that for the second section of this coaching. For right now, I want to focus on the physical obvious. Why would I not invest in a mobile home? Okay. New roof. If you're talking about in maybe mid 90s, early 2000s, later 2000 models, and if you get a good deal on that, great. But if you're talking about maybe a shingle roof and you have to replace a shingle roof, that's $3,000 to $5,000. So again, you're thinking about from an investment standpoint is from beginning numbers to ROIs in numbers, return on my investments. Would this deal check out? If I have to put a brand new roof on it, 3 to 5,000, that could be a very much make or break type of deal, if you will, right? Excessive plumbing. If I have to replumb, which the past two mobile homes, we apparently somehow missed all the plumbing issues. We didn't turn the water on with the full pressure until towards the end of the rehab. Needless to say, me and my contractor, we had a few discussions on that. We realized that there's a lot of plumbing issues. I mean, and you know, this thing is about plumbing is, you know, plumbing inside of mobile homes, you know, without the skirting on the side of the mobile homes, without the protection, the insulation, etc. It is nothing more than plastic PVC throughout the mobile home. When that stuff, you know, certain years, wear and tear, you know, cold, hot, you know, that type of weather, it gets brittle, it breaks, and doesn't get better. You try to fix one little section, and then the next section breaks, and then the next section breaks, and you're putting money and money. And I mean, you know, I don't want to get too specific with these whole, you know, specifics of plumbing PVC, but you got shark bites and T rows and all these sections. It's like all those cost money, money, money. So again, when I'm thinking about investing, it's like, do I want to get into this whole rehab? Now I have to replumb the entire mobile home. We done it. We done it many times, and you know, very gratefully, we've been able to make money even so. But it's something to keep in mind that if I'm coming into a mobile home, perhaps, and you know, this mobile home hasn't been lived in 3, 5 years, that plumbing can't be that good. You know, there's probably no water running to it. It's been through summer, winter times, and that plumbing is brittle. So something to keep in mind. Okay. Electrical. That is definitely a number one. Electrical. You know, if you have to rewire an entire mobile home, you are talking thousands. There's permits, there's inspections. The electrician is going to come in and they're not going to tape off and try to figure out what goes where. They're going to say, I can rewire the entire mobile home, meaning that the previous wire is going to have to go, right? Now, when that happens, is obviously they're going to have to tear walls to put new wiring throughout. They're going to obviously fix all these, and they do a wonderful job, no doubt. But you're talking 3 to 4 thousand maybe just on their job. Not to mention all the walls they pulled out, they had to tear out that make it all livable, obviously presentable, and more than so safe wise, right? But now you have to have a contractor to come in behind them and put new walls in, fix all the issues, all the tears, everything. So again, all these numbers are steady just climbing. Those are the obvious. Okay. And when you come into some of these mobile homes, and obviously, you know, you say, well, there's no power running to. So I really don't know if it works or if this electrical wall does not. If a rule of thumb, if a mobile home has been sitting for more than about 6 months without power, odds are you need a permit, you need an inspection. And the counties do that just because safety reasons. If a mobile home, and this goes for houses as well, if a house has not had power running to it for the past 5, 6 months, you need to do an inspection to make sure everything is legit and we can turn the power on too. And when that happens, obviously there's issues and issues. So again, I'm just thinking, I'll always think worst case scenario, best case scenario, and most likely. Most likely usually takes a lot of money. So, okay, let's move on. HVAC. Somebody mentioned, what about HVACs? Would that be a make or break type of deal? Not to us. You know, when it comes to HVACs, and we actually covered HVACs last week, so we'll tag a video on that on our YouTube this evening. But and the reason behind it is because we don't replace HVACs. If we had to replace HVACs on every one of mobile home we invest in, absolutely. You're talking 5, 7, or even 10,000 worth of just an HVAC system being put back throughout the mobile home. Depends on the size, year, make, model. Obviously, you know, a double wide is going to be more costly than a single wide. But we don't, you know, we will go with window units. We'll go with different systems throughout the mobile home if we need to. If an HVAC works or doesn't need as extensive work, we'll go ahead and service it, make sure that we check out, maybe refill it up with Freon, but it's nothing extreme. So something like that would not, for us, it would not be a make or break. All of the above. Okay. Again, I'm talking about the obvious, the physical obvious. If the roof is caving in, if all the electrical has got to be replaced, if all the plumbing's got to be replaced, I'll even toss the HVAC. If the HVAC's got to be replaced, I mean, do I need to say any further? Don't invest in that mobile home. You know, I like to think that I can rehab every mobile home. I hate to see demo, and we work with a lot of teams. A lot of teams call us. Okay, Jay, do you have any mobile homes? You know, we have a demo company. This is what we do, et cetera, et cetera. And you know, they're great deals, by the way. That's a tip for you, Instagram. If you're trying to find deals, could it be potential that you call a demo company? hey, Mr. or Mrs. Demo Company, instead of demoing your mobile home, which I know you've been paid 2, 3 thousand for, how about I buy the mobile home you're going to rehab? I'm sorry, demo. I'll move it out of there. You'll get your 2, 3 grand from them, and I'll pay you an extra 2, 3 grand. Tips. That's what I'm giving you right now. So that's golden. Okay. But some mobile homes do need to be demoed. There's too many permits, too many inspections. There's too much electrical. The roof's caving in, and I mean some of these mobile homes, some sellers, I'll call them that. They send us, hey, I have a potential deal for you, and there's a mobile home falling across the mobile home. Like, guys, I mean, I can't work miracles based on this. You got trees falling on this mobile home. I mean, it's basically tipped the whole mobile home over. It's off the foundation. Like, it is what it is. I can't salvage something like that. But it's, for the most part, I like to think that we can rehab each and every mobile home. Okay, so let's keep going. Under 1976, I want to talk about that. There's a lot of new investors. And again, I get that, deals may or may not come. I like to toss out there brand, market, and advertising. If you do those 3 points and include promotion, you will get deals come to you. But if you don't, you obviously going to realize that there's maybe a random deal from time to time. It does not mean that you rush into the deal and try to make it into an investment. Sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't get into. But I will say, don't invest, especially as a new investor, in 1976 or above. You got to realize and remember 1976 April of was pre and post HUD, HUD, HUD. That means that before 1976, they weren't really considered almost a home in a sense. 1976 and above, now you can transport. You can continue to move these things. I'm not going to say as much as an RV or camper, but they're meant to be transportable. That's where the whole mobile home comes from. So if I'm going to think about investing in the maybe 1970s, one thing to remember is what if something changes? Market shifts, maybe new owners, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. And now I have to move this mobile home, but it turns out DOT rule regulations, which allows transportation on the road, says no, you cannot move the 1970 model, 72 model because it's pre-HUD. Now you're stuck with an investment that you bought hoping it would be obviously a phenomenal one, but it's under the grade where it can be moved. That would be an issue. And again, that's a no-no. I would not invest in something like that. Now, I'm not saying that I don't invest in some of those because we do. We have some early 60s, some early 70s, and some late 90s, 70s. So it just depends on that. But again, you got to do your homework on something like that. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on market numbers, specifics, etc. Overall, paying for a mobile home. I can't tell you how many times investors call me and say, hey, Jay, they say I have a good deal. It's not. It's not a good deal. They say I got a good deal. I paid 10,000. I'm really only trying to make a couple thousand out of it. If you pay me 12K for it now, I'll be happy to sell. They're trying to sell me a mobile home that they overpaid, add an extra 2,000, and trying to get me to somehow agree with them that it's a good deal, even though they're asking 12K for something that I wouldn't dare pay over 5,000. You see where that problem comes from. And this goes back to hand in hand, MAO, maximum allowed offer. If you don't know what an as is value of a mobile home is, how are you making any offers? You made an offer based on what somebody was asking. Obviously, you took them down slightly from the number they were, and suddenly you think you're an investor and you made a good deal. And it didn't work out that way. Now, the fact that you overpay for the mobile home and trying to get me to pay for it's not going to work. That's not my problem, right? I am going to pay you what's called a fair market value offer on the mobile home, and that's the way that I work. So we'll talk about that on the shadow event here in a few minutes as well. But let's get into now the market numbers. That's where it matters. Before we get into the physical obvious, you need to remember there's the market numbers. The market numbers are what decides how many exit strategies you can use, what you can pay for, and where you can invest. If those three check out, now I can look at the product. Okay, so let's talk about number one, rental numbers. Okay, if the lot rents are too high, example, and I've used this numerous times, is Columbus, Georgia. The rental rates are almost as much as the rental rates in the area. At the time when we were investing in that area, I believe it was around $400 to $450 a month. The rental rates were around $500 to $550 a month. That meant that if I came in there and became a landlord, we did what we do, we put the homes out there, we would be profiting anywhere from $75 to $100 a month. Does that sound like a good deal to anybody? I'm going to come in, I'm going to do all the work, take all the risk, be out of pocket money, and be profiting $75 to $100 a month. Not going to happen, right? Because the rental rates are too high and the law rents are too high and the rental rates are too low. That would be the second one, is the rental rates are too low in that market to be able to make a margin. Rule of thumb is I don't like to be in a market or in a community where I'm paying the lot rent more than I'm profiting. If the lot rent is $350 and I'm bringing in $800 worth of rental rate, that's a good number. I'm profiting just a little bit more than what the lot rent is. Once that starts going up a little too high, that's when we start throwing red flags up, right? Limited exit strategies. That would be the next one. I don't know. A lot of times when we come into this investing, I may have a thought of let's do a wholesale. Let's do a flip. Let's clean it up and maybe do an immediate double wholesale. Or maybe let's rehab and do a rental, rent to own, Section 8, veteran assistance. All these are exit strategies. But what if the community that I'm investing in says you cannot sublease? Then what? Then you can't sublease. Forget about Section 8, veteran assistance, elderly housing, Airbnb, rentals, lease options. All those are gone. That means you can only come in and really do a wholesale maybe, and even that's questionable, or you have to pretend that you're going to live in the community, you're going to buy the mobile home, you're fully responsible, and at time of sale, because they can't stop you from selling, at the time of sale, then you'll sell and you just happen to maybe offer financing options. That's tricky. That's tricky and that's very limited. You're always concerned and worried about what may happen, so I would say something like that. Limit exit strategies, stay away from. I don't want to be in areas like that. And that's a mistake that a lot of investors make is, again, when they come in, they say, well, let me take this mobile home. It looks like a great deal. Physical wise is this, numbers wise is that. I'll go ahead and do a rehab, and then I'll decide if I want to rent it or sell it, etc. You should always have an exit strategy first and then invest in a mobile home. So when it's done, you realize, well, I can take options A, B, or C. That's up to you based on what you decide, right? Moving on, okay? Mobile home park selling. That's another one. And we're seeing that. It is that time of season. I'm gonna call it that. I'm not gonna get into the market correction. I'm not gonna get into any of that. I'm gonna say it is that time of season. Parks are about to be sold. What happens when you invest in a community? Okay, you come in, or maybe you already invested in a community and they're about to sell. You know what happens when a community sells? And we have two parks doing that right now as we speak. Okay, there's concerns, there's red flags. If a new park owner comes in, one of the first things they like to do is raise lot rents. I mean, they don't have to come in and fix anything, change, upgrade, nothing. They simply realize that they're invested in X amount of money and therefore $300 worth of lot rent or 400, whatever. Doesn't sound enough. So they're going to go ahead and go up a chunk. Now, rule of thumb as a park owner, because I teach and coach a lot of park operators, is gradually go up. 25 here, next 6 months, do another 25, next 6 months, do maybe 50, kind of. But there's a lot of new park owners that come in and say, yep, in 3 months, we're going up 150. And they get it. They'll come in and they'll just ruin that community by going up so high, because one thing they forget is that a lot of these people and most of these people that live in these communities is they live paycheck to paycheck, or they're on some type of monthly, government wise, agreement. So it's like, it's hard for them to say, well, there's no problem me paying another 100 or 150. Now, as for us investors, it's always, how is that going to mess up our lease options, our rent to owns? Because when you got agreements, terms signed up with some of these residents, soon to be homeowners, is this is what lot rent is, this is what you're paying monthly, and this is where the breakdown is. Now, 3 months later, you got to come in and say, well, the park operator decided to go up 150. So now we're going to have to go up there's a lot of things that can go hand in hand. So you got to do your research, you got to do your homework on something like that. Definitely find out before a park operator, before you invest with a park operator is, do you plan on selling? If you plan on selling, will you please give me heads up X amount of time? You want to be alert with something like that, okay? Lot rent, like I mentioned, okay? When was the last time lot rent was increased? I need to know this. When is the next time lot rent is going to be increased? Because again, this is going to affect my numbers. So I got to be aware of. And when you're coming in or you've been there for a while, now some of these park operators, you're able to do some agreements with them, being a big investor. We have some like that where it's like for the next 2, 3, 5 years, my lot rents will not go up. Despite of what all the other lot rents do, it's my rents stay the same. But again, if they sell, okay, kind of goes both ways at that point. So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see. Moving on. Let's okay. Investments is a small town. One thing I'll add to that, it's like, and I've seen this with a few communities, one thing that especially real estate investors focus on is like, I want to build apartments, complex, multi-doors. It's always a factor of what type of businesses are coming into the community. Amazon, big distribution centers, those bring a lot of people into certain communities, certain towns. So therefore, there's a lot of need of affordability housing or housing in general. And that goes also for mobile homes. But what if you're in a community or a small town where, let's say, the most jobs there is happens to be with the distribution center down the street? What would happen to that community if the distribution center were to close or were to move overseas or whatever? Those jobs would become eliminated. So does that mean now that you being invested in the small community, the small town where the biggest job was the distribution center now being gone, is that going to affect your business? Yes, absolutely. So you got to focus on things like that as well. Choosing the right investment, there's a lot more moving parts than most people think. Okay. It's from physical to markets to being able to decipher if something is even a good deal. And a lot of that could even be, your gut. I don't feel like this is a good deal. I don't know what it's about it. Something is wrong. Oh, I could tell you some stories. Okay. But it's like, you got to play smart. Play smart, play by the book. First it's numbers, then it's the physical, and then go with your gut. That's how I would say it. So let me see. Small town, figure that out. Okay. Any questions? Good evening, Instagram. So, started a little late here, but reminder, this call is recorded. It will be posted on our YouTube come first thing tomorrow morning. I got sinus going on, so that may be my voice you hear. It's not COVID. Thank God. I hope it's not COVID. So we'll figure it out in the next couple of days. We got a lot of things coming up. We do not have time for COVID, but man, 30 minutes went by fast. So let me go ahead and announce the upcoming events that we have. Guys, I mean, when I think about giving back, adding value, it's always like, how can I make it better? What else can I do that other people are not doing yet? And it's like, I think a lot of times, a lot of investors see deals and it's like, I'll get to it later. You have this thought mentality of you feel like tomorrow is going to come. And I'm not going to get into that too much, but it's like, the best time to invest on is today. The best investment you'll ever make on is yourself. And when you have somebody like GMHU, ourselves, that we're willing to not only hold your hand, okay, hold you accountable if you get coaching through us, but also offer you deals on communities that allow subleasing. Okay, they welcome investors. We are the only real estate mobile home investing platform that offers real deals, off-market deals to investors without all the no's, all the hassles, all the headaches, all the stress. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But a lot of people are still taking this for granted, thinking it'll be there tomorrow. I don't know how many more Let's Do Deals we'll have, how many more shadows we'll have. For now, we're going to continue those, but it's like, May 10th, Wednesday, that's 3 days from now. I have a free coaching on Zoom. Okay. Instagram, I think you're going to be playing live on there as well, but a free coaching, and I'm going to be showing you my secrets. Okay. I don't hold back. My secrets to off market deals. How do I target a lot of off market deals? I don't go door knocking. Now, that's old fashioned, may work for some of you, I don't do that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for bird dogging and mail letters and all this. What I like to do is use social media and physical branding, marketing, advertising, and as you've heard Saturday morning, promoting so the deals come to me. I like when people ring my phone, emails, text messages, social medias, DMs. Yes, this is what I got. 3 bedroom, 2 baths, single wide, double wide. I don't care. I will review all right here from the comfort of my seat. And that's what I'm going to teach you on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. EST time. Free. Can't say it enough. It's a free call. You can join in from anywhere. Okay. Use your phone, use your laptop, whatever you want to use. Send us a DM, send us an email, j@garciamhu.com. We'll share the Zoom with you. You can join us. And then only 10 days later, May 20th, is going to be one of our last shadow events. That's an event where I take you all day long by my side and I show you step by step how to invest in mobile homes, mobile home communities, mobile home parks, how to wholesale, how to flip, how to get into Section 8, veteran assistance, elderly housings. All these strategies I'm talking about are passive income. How to generate wealth, come and learn. That's what we're going to be doing May 20th. So, there's limited seats available at this time. Join us live. We will host that event virtually as well. We have 4 guest speakers at this time, including a contractor, handyman, park managers, park owners, park operators. I mean, all these people will be at this event sharing details, sharing value with you. Got to join us. Okay. So that's May 20th. Send us an email. I'd love to see you all there. Okay. That's going to do it. Let me see. Any questions? I'll answer real quick. All right. I don't see any questions. So we're going to end the call. I got one more coaching coming available here in about 2 minutes. So I got to jump on that. But thank you all for joining me on Zoom and on Instagram. Tuesday night, don't forget, Tuesday we pitch deals, 7 p.m. live on Instagram. See you then.